I was asked, and I'm sorry I don't remember who it was right now, but I was asked by somebody to go over some stretches, some flexibility things to help you with getting your feet set properly for the bench press. Somebody noted in a, I think it was a 515 that I posted maybe a week or two ago, pardon me, that I had done as I was coming back from injury in my left shoulder. Somebody noted that my feet position was really good, leg drive was really good, which I appreciate that compliment very much, and especially appreciate that because I struggled for years trying to figure out what leg drive was and proper place to put my feet and all that jazz. So they asked me, what do you do to get flexible or more flexible, and just kind of go over that. So I guess I'm going to do a combined video here of some stretches, and then it also will, because they overlap with the nature of the question, also talk about setup. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the way I set up first, and then I'll talk about that very briefly, go through some stretches, and then that'll be the video. So anyway, why should you listen to me? You made it this far, for one thing. I am 42 years old. I've been lifting weights since I was a teenager. I have benched over 500 in 4 different weight classes, I think now. The lightest I have been when I did it was 196. The heaviest I've been was 253, which put me in the 275 weight class, but that was many, many years ago. Today I hit 565 in the gym, which matches my all-time meet PR. When I did it in the meet, I was 240 pounds and 29 years old. That was back in 2003. This is in 2017 as I tape this, and I am 42 years old and 198 pounds. So, the stretching and whatnot that I do, I think probably has something to do with my longevity. I've been injured a lot, but I've overcome a lot of injuries and still clip them along at a reasonable pace. So anyways, as far as my setup, here's what I do. I go ahead and my idea is to get my neck as close to the bench as possible, and then to get my shoulder blades pinched together in the back like this as much as possible onto the bench. And then once that is set, I want to get my butt as close to my neck as possible because that pushes my belly up, reduces the distance that I'm pushing the bar, which is ultimately everyone out there that I know at least can bench more to a 1 board than they can to their chest. They can bench more to a 2 board than they can to a 1, more to a 3 than a 2. So if you can figure out some way within the rules to reduce the amount of distance you have to press, it only makes sense that you're going to be able to press more weight. So here we go. I take the widest legal grip that you're allowed. I push up until I've got my neck on the bench. I use the bar as leverage to pinch my shoulder blades together. And then I want to get, and I can't quite do it the way I do it for real because of the rack here at the house, but I want to basically get my foot as far back this way and as far out this way as I can, while still allowing me to push towards my head. The idea with getting as wide as possible is it keeps me stable side to side, and also if I get wide enough, it makes it almost impossible to raise my butt off the bench, and if you don't raise your butt off the bench, that's one less way you can foul. So, my stroke with this setup is reasonably short. I've seen a lot of guys with a much shorter stroke. I believe I've measured it, and it's somewhere around a foot. Maybe a little bit less than that. But for those that don't know, I'm 5'8" and 198 pounds. So, anyways, that's the setup. The reason why that may be an issue for some folks is going to be flexibility in your hip or lack thereof. So, how do I go about increasing my hip flexibility? One of the stretches that I like to do, and you can do it when you're just sitting around watching television, is sit with, I think it's called a butterfly stretch, or at least that's what I've always heard it called. And you sit with your feet together. You want to pull your feet kind of towards you. And over time, you want to lean forward. You should feel a stretch on the inside of your quad, inside of your, I guess it'd be your quads, I don't know, inside of your thighs is where I personally am feeling this. And then as I lean forward, I feel it up deeper in my groin. And so this is going to help you get your feet out side to side a little bit more. And I won't bore you with doing them for a long time, but make sure you hold each one of your stretches at least for a 20 count. I don't remember who it was, but somebody years ago told me that there's some magical thing that happens within your muscles at 20 seconds and allows them to relax a little bit more and actually gain some permanent flexibility. I personally want to hold I like to hold a stretch for at least 30 seconds and sometimes a lot longer. So next thing that I do that is important, I think you got to be able to get your knee way back behind you and out to the side. And in order to do that, I do a modified hurdler stretch. You can do a hurdler stretch on the ground if you want, but if you've got a bench, and you do because you're a bench presser, you wouldn't watch this video, you can get your knee up on the bench, and then what I'm doing here is I'm trying to stretch out the quadriceps and the front hip flexors. And this is a challenge for me personally because I've got some kind of funky something or other, I don't even know what it is for sure, going on in my left buttocks region that is constantly giving me pain. And this stretch right here alleviates that pain to some degree, and it also allows you to get a little bit better arch going. So that's a stretch that I like to do as well. You know, you need to be able to touch your toes, you need to be able to have some flexibility, and just the basic normal sort of stretches that everybody does. You know, you want to be able to do this sort of thing, stretching out your calves. Just flexibility is not a bad thing. If your muscles are flexible and able to move through a large range of motion, they're going to be safer through the limited range of motion that you put on them with a proper powerlifting move. Now this last one is probably the most radical stretch that I do that's related specifically to trying to loosen up my hips, low back, which I've got issues there personally. You may as well. For the longest time I couldn't do this at all. I had to really work up to this. So this one here is I guess a supported back bend sort of an exercise or stretch. And so I hook my toes underneath my power rack. If you don't have a power rack, you can do this with a couch or a friend standing on your toes, I suppose. Any number of things, but it's going to be hard for me to talk while I'm doing this. But basically I'm going to do a back bend over this. The idea is to stretch and elongate your front hip flexors, the front of your quads, your abdomen, because again we want to be able to get that nice arch. So here we go. And there we are. And so actually I can talk once I'm down here. And so I'll hang out here for a while. And the more I do this, the more comfortable it is. When I first started doing this, I had to have all kinds of support to get back there and had to climb back up. Now it's really not that big deal because I've been doing this for a little while, this flexibility routine. I didn't do any of this stuff for 12 or 13 years because I didn't bench press between 2003 and 2016, like at all. I was a jiu-jitsu player and I exercised during that period of time, but I didn't compete, didn't do any sort of bench pressing between the ages of 29 and 41. And when I turned 41, I decided during that year that I was going to come back. And I'm now 42. So the point of that is I've gotten substantially better, specifically at that exercise there, or that stretch there. And I suspect if I were to shoot this video again in a year, I would probably be that much more flexible, hopefully have that much better of an arch, that much better of a, therefore that much better of a plane. Because everyone who's watching this video has probably done flat bench, incline, and decline. And I've yet to meet anyone who can incline as much as they can flat bench, And I've yet to meet anyone who can flat bench as much as they can decline. So logic would dictate you would try to get your body in that strongest position, that decline position, and an arch does that. I know some people fuss over people that have extreme arches and therefore extremely small ranges of motion. I'm jealous of those people, just like you are, but you just got to do the best you can with what your body type is. But no matter who you are, I think you're going to be better off if you get your body in the right position for you, and generally that, I think, is going to mean somewhat of an arch to a fairly extreme arch, depending on your flexibility. But flexibility can be gained over time. There was a time I couldn't touch my toes when I was 12 years old. I was completely inflexible. I started working very hard on my flexibility at that time and got to the point where throughout my entire adult life I've been able to do the splits. With very little warm-up. When I was in martial arts, I could do splits all the time, no warm-up at all. Now I can do it after 5 or 10 minutes, and I haven't done that yet, so I'm not going to do it for you on the video. But, so that's kind of my routine. And if you have any questions, post them on the post them below here in the comments. So hopefully that will be something that people can use and enjoy, or at least learn a little something. All right, thank you very much, guys.